from not only my mom, but we consult what we refer to as our baking Bible. It is called On Baking. It's the 3rd edition. This is an amazing book. If you are a baker or you want to learn more about baking, I highly suggest you get this book. I have a digital copy of it and my mom has a physical copy of it. And the reason we give my mom a physical copy is because she makes lots of notes. She changes some of the recipes in there and all sorts of things. But there is like any question you have about baking is seriously in the book. And then almost any recipe that you could ever think you need, they have something that you can either use directly or tweak it to make it yours, which is really great because it kind of gives you a base idea and you can start building on it. I did drop the link for that book if you're ever curious what that book looks like down in the descriptions, but I'm telling you, like, we love that thing. So I've been pulling out information to share with you guys. So on Thursdays, we'll do a Did You Know? And it could be tips coming from our pastry chef. It could be coming from this book. We just want to share the knowledge with you so that you can have that knowledge when you're baking, whether you're baking at home or for somebody, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to start doing that on Thursdays, okay? Now today I'm gonna try a new segment. So I know like I've done some demonstrations. Sometimes I just get on here and talk. And I know I did the information about precision baking and I showed you guys like that experiment that we did about measurements. So I am going to call my new, I like to name things. I like to think I'm clever and come up with clever names. Not always, but we'll see. So I'm gonna call it Baking with Knowledge. That's the segment. So today our segment is going to be Baking with Knowledge. So without further ado, let's get into a Baking with Knowledge. Maybe I should say it with that voice every time. We'll see. Okay, so today our Baking with Knowledge is all about mixing, the mixing methods, okay? And I wrote a complete blog post on this. The description does have the blog post. It is on our website, which is perfectlypastry.com/blog, and you can learn about the mixing methods, okay? So, legit, I did not know that mixing methods were important until my mom went to pastry school, and I'm like, what does yada yada mean? And she's like, it means this. And I'd be like, why is it telling me to do that? And she's like, it means this. And then like, I'll make something. She'd be like, well, did you X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, no, I mean, I know it said that, but like, really, what's the difference between stirring it and whipping it? Like, there can't be that big of a difference. There is. There's a huge difference. Like I said, I am not a professionally trained pastry chef. I do like to bake, but I am not trained. Thank goodness I have my mom. So it is important. Who would have known? Mixing methods are almost as important as the ingredients that you are using. Can you believe that? And that's because mixing methods do different things for your final product. So when it tells you to whip, beat, knead, whatever it is telling you to do, I'm like, is it kneaded? I don't really know that one. I don't know what that would be. So like, it's really important that you're following those mixing methods that they're telling you about, okay? So we're gonna talk about the mixing methods. There are 9 of them. Who would have thought? There are 9 ways to mix your ingredients. So the reason that you mix is because you want to incorporate all of your ingredients into your mixture or batter or dough, whatever it is that you're making. So that's why you're mixing it. But the way that you mix it makes a difference, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna talk about is beating. This is where I'm gonna have to refer to my notes because there is no way I was gonna memorize all that stuff. No, I wrote the blog post on Sunday. There was no way I was memorizing it before today. So I am gonna cheat and look at my notes. Beating. Beating is to create air. It also activates gluten. Gluten is really important to the structure of your baked goods, the final structure. It can make it crispy, light, airy, all of those things, okay? So gluten is important. It can be activated during the beating process. That also adds the air, okay? It also helps to blend your mixture. To beat something, you can use a spoon, a rubber spatula, or the paddle attachment on your mixer. Like seriously, this is how much of I'm not really that great with the mixture kind of stuff, mixing methods. So when I was practicing doing American buttercream a while back, before I really got the hang of it, my mom's like, now make sure you whip it. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna whip it. And I put on my paddle attachment and I whip it. And I'm like, oh, it's not really fluffy, but whatever, Mom. I'm like, I did it for 10 minutes like you said. And she was like, what attachment did you use? And I'm like, what do you mean? I whipped it. And she was like, what attachment? And I showed her and she's like, Lindsay, that is the paddle attachment. That is not the whipping attachment. I was like, So then I remade it and I was like, look at that, it's nice and fluffy. So like seriously, it does make a difference. I'm telling you, I have made that same mistake so many times. My mom's like, follow the directions. And I'm like, So it really is important. Okay, so blending, okay? Blending is where you're gonna mix everything evenly, okay? And to do this, you can use your mixer, your paddle spatula attachment. So you're just gonna be blending it. I have had some things like require you to use a blender to actually physically blend it. So, make sure you're paying attention to what it's asking you for, okay? Creaming. So creaming is when you're incorporating air, and you're going to incorporate the air with your mixing of your fats and your sugar. Okay, so that is called creaming. And you can do that with your paddle attachment, which is more what I did with my icing than actually whipping it. I more creamed it because I used the paddle attachment, and it's just fat and sugar. So that is what I did. I did not whip it. So yeah, makes a difference. Folding is used typically when you're trying to incorporate some of your delicate ingredients. You're gonna use a rubber spatula, and you could use a balloon whisk, okay? And you're gonna fold it into your ingredients. And this is typically done with like egg whites and whipped cream. Those are two of the most common ingredients that you're gonna fold into your mixture, okay? Kneading. So kneading is another way of activating the gluten, okay? And like I said, that gluten is important to the structure of your finished product. And the way that you're gonna do that is you can use a bread hook. So like my mixer comes with a bread hook, and I can turn it on and it mixes it. If you don't have a mixer, you can do the kneading by hand, but it's very important that you do it in a rhythmic motion. Not right. And make sure I use the right word. And you want to do it vigorously, okay? Because you want to really get that gluten activated, okay? So if you have a bread hook, I highly suggest you using it. Otherwise, make sure you're really getting into that and activating those gluten. I don't really know which one you want to say. Whatever, moving on. Sifting, okay? So sifting is to remove lumps, okay? A lot of you have probably seen a sifter. It like has a handle, it has this little crank, and you crank it and it all goes through, and it's gonna remove lumps, but it's also gonna add air to that, okay? You can sift with a sifter. Like I said, it's like a machine. I should have brought mine upstairs. I didn't think about it. So you like sift it in your bowl, but you can also use a mesh, like metal mesh strainer. It will help remove those clumps and add some air to your ingredients. Stirring. So, stirring, you are going to be mixing the ingredients. You use a rubber spatula, spoon, a whisk. You're gonna stir it. And then whipping. Mix, this is when you are mixing vigorously, okay? And that is adding air. So like when you're making American buttercream and you are whipping it, it's adding air to get a light, fluffy texture into your American buttercream. So it's definitely different than creamy. So make sure that you're following those instructions, because you want to add air into that. I wanted to add way more air than what I was doing with the creaming into my American buttercream. So it's a vigorous way to incorporate the air. You use a whip attachment, or you can do it with the whisk. Might get some tiring, but you can definitely do it. So like I said, I did a whole article on the mixing methods. It is in the descriptions. You can go and check it out. We have all kinds of different blog posts on our website at perfectlypastry.com/blog. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And make sure you're following us on our social media. If you are watching this live and you're not following us, or you have not liked us on Facebook, you really need to do that. But we're also not just on Facebook. We are on Twitter, we are on Pinterest, and we are on Instagram. I have posted a little more often to Instagram. Again, that's not the best, but it's there if you want to follow us on there. Otherwise, Pinterest, honestly, is my favorite. I could be lost on Pinterest for days. I really get lost in Pinterest. I just love Pinterest. So we are there. We are on all other social media, and it's at Perfectly Pastry. Facebook is the only one that we are at Perfectly Pastry Bakery. All the other ones at Perfectly Pastry. Make sure you check out the description. There's information on how to sign up for our monthly newsletter. We send that out every single month. It includes recipes, it includes tips, it lets you know what's going on here at Perfectly Pastry. So definitely sign up for that if you have not done so already.